Hey guys, Jomtien Jeff here. You know, I'm still here in America and I'm really missing Thailand. I've got another week or so before I have my operation for my other eye. And once that's done, it'll be another 3 or so weeks before I can go anyplace. So I'm here for another month or two. I'll probably go back to Thailand in July. That's my plan. Going back to what we're going to talk about today, I just thought we'd talk for a few minutes today about getting around Jomtien and Pattaya. I know that there are a lot of options, and maybe you haven't thought about all those options, but there's definitely several options to get not only from the airport to Pattaya, but you can also, once you're there, get around town fairly inexpensively. So let's just talk about from the airport. What I normally do from the airport is to get a private car and come down to Pattaya. Sometimes they call that a taxi, they might call it a limo. There's lots of different ways to do it. I use a taxi service in Pattaya. I use a couple different ones actually, but I have that driver meet me at the airport when I arrive. I get on my phone, I text them or I call them and I say I'm here. They come to the gate or where the baggage is and they pick me up and we head off to Pattaya. It's not the least expensive way to do things, but for between 1,200 and 2,000 baht, you usually can get a car that's nice. The taxi service I use, she has a number of cars herself, and then she has other people that she contracts with if her cars are busy. So definitely if you're looking for a way to get from the airport to Pattaya and want to do it quickly and easily, that's number one. There's also the bus. And the bus from Pattaya to the airport or vice versa is a fairly inexpensive option. It's about 150 to 200 baht to make that trip. They've now got a more upscale bus. I haven't taken that one yet because it was just coming online when I left. But that upscale bus, I believe, is around 200 baht for the trip. So it's much less. It's a little nicer bus than the normal one. But the normal bus is nice. It's air conditioned. It's about 30 passengers, so it's not overly crowded, but it's a typical bus. It's going to take 30 minutes sometimes. You know, it's going to leave every 30 minutes or so from the airport. So you're going to find that sometimes you have to wait a little bit. And then when you get to the bus station in Pattaya, you've got to get from there to your hotel or your condo, which can be a little bit because it's kind of, the bus station's kind of in North Pattaya. So you may have to get a Baht bus, or if it's late at night, to get a taxi to get there. Another way to get around once you're in Pattaya, the most common way that I use is using the Baht bus. And the Baht bus is simply the public transportation system. It's they're blue pickup trucks with an aluminum canopy on the back. They hold about 10 people, and then a couple more on the back if you need to stand on the tailboard. I prefer the tailboard myself because the benches inside the bus canopy itself are not very soft. My back doesn't like sitting on something hard and bouncing around. They do ride like a pickup. And if you have luggage, if you have a lot of stuff, that may not be your best choice because there's not usually a lot of room on those. Sometimes you'll find them that you can get them individually, and you'll find the Baht bus driver that will take you wherever you want to go with whatever stuff you have, but you're going to pay a full fare for that. You're going to rent the whole bus to go someplace. Now you find those sometimes when you're standing on the street, all you have to do is stick out your hand and the bus will stop. But sometimes you'll notice the buses go right by and you go, what the heck's going on? Why didn't he stop? And you look as it goes by and there's a couple people in it and they're going someplace and they've rented that bus for, you know, a dedicated run. It's like a taxi at that point. They've decided they want to go someplace. They decide they want to use the Baht bus versus a taxi or a Bolt. So they're off they go. And you'll see that sometimes. You put your hand out, they won't stop. The other options, the most common options, are Bolt and Grab. I usually use Bolt myself, but it's like Uber. or Lyft. You just put the app on your phone, you hail the ride that you want. They have several different types of cars you can get, and you can get the ride as soon as you want. Sometimes there's ways to do that are quicker. You want to look at what cars, how far away they are, and make a decision. What kind of car do you really want? Also find on there, you'll find motorbikes. And motorbikes are all over the place in Thailand. Motorbike taxis are really common. And probably the quickest, easiest way to hail one is to walk out on the street and look for one. They'll have their brightly colored vest on, and they'll be sitting at the street corner. Real easy to say, I want to go here or there. You're kind of at the will of the driver where it's going to cost when you do it that way. If you go back to that Bolt app or that Grab app, you can see how much it's going to cost you, and the ride's locked in at that point. Might take a minute or two longer to get them there, but usually those guys are waiting around, especially if you're in a tourist area or around a hotel or a condo. There's usually drivers very close. Those will be usually about the same as a car because the drivers are able to collect that money. I've taken very short motorbike taxi rides that cost me 100 baht because the demand was there. People wanted to do it. I wanted to get there, and it just cost you. It's supply and demand, right? That's kind of what happens there. Finally, taxis. Taxis are another option. See a lot of taxis around Pattaya especially. Taxis are just like any place else. You get in, they flip the meter. If they don't flip the meter, ask them to, because you don't want an unmetered taxi. That doesn't work too good. They're going to charge you what they want. But once you get in the taxi, normally it's no problem. They click the meter and off you go. Taxis will also be on the apps, the Bolt and Grab app. You can request a taxi, so that will get them to you, and then you know how much it's going to cost too. So the nice thing for me about the Bolt app in particular, or Grab, is that I don't have to have a bunch of change. I don't have to, it's like Uber, right? I take out my credit card, put it in there once, and then I always pay for it. I don't have to worry about having 20 baht or 50 baht or whatever it is that the ride's going to cost me. I find that most of those rides, unless I'm going way up north, from Pattaya all the way down to Jomtien, or Jomtien all the way up to North Pattaya, sometimes that might be $2 or $3, but they're really inexpensive compared to taking that type of ride here in the US. So it's something to look at. It's a quick, easy way to get around. If you choose the lower end cars, it's really pretty inexpensive. You can choose the higher end cars. It might be a little bit more, but it's a great way to get around. Finally, the option of a motorbike. You can rent a motorbike for a period of time. There's a whole list of things you want to make sure that you have right before you do that. You want to make sure you have a helmet. You want to make sure you have a driver's license that's valid in Thailand. The police they sit at the roadways and just watch for people and pull them over. They see no motorbike helmet. They're just like, boom. They're coming after you, and they're not going to come after you. They're going to pull you over, and then you're going to pay a ticket. And if you don't have a driver's license that's endorsed for motorcycle, you want to be careful of that. Kind of the same thing with renting a car. You'll see car rental agencies around the area. You can rent a car, but make sure you have either an international driver's license or a Thai driver's license. I get my international driver's license. In fact, it's due right now. But I get that just to have with me in case I need to rent a car for some reason. It's fairly inexpensive. I think it's like $40 to get it through AAA in the US. So you've got different options. You've got different ways of doing things. You can always walk. Walking is probably what I do 90% of the time. You could get a bicycle, or these days an e-bike, a motorbike, whether you ride it or you take it as a taxi. You've got the Baht bus, which is public transportation that you can grab. You can also use a Baht bus as private transport to get you to a certain place. With that larger vehicle, you can take stuff with you. And then, of course, you've got Bolt with their different types of cars, different types of vehicles that you can request that they come pick you up. And then you've got the public bus, and you've got private cars that you can rent, with taxis being kind of in that same group too. So you've got a lot of options to get around. You're going to find all of them vary in price, with probably the cheapest being the Baht bus. If you can get close to where you're going on a Baht bus route, it's a great way to do it. You can look up those routes online. Just look up Pattaya Baht bus routes, and you'll see the 3 or 4 main routes on there listed out. You can see how close you are to where you want to go. Good luck with getting around. I hope you have a great time in Pattaya. I hope you have a lot of fun and enjoy your time. Safe travels. Talk to you soon. I'm Jomtien Jeff.